John Paul, welcome to the Democratizing SEO podcast. How are you doing today?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Thanks for having me on.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I came across you on LinkedIn and I saw something on, I think it wasn't a post. I think it was like your previous role that really triggered this idea for this conversation, which is essentially SEO upskilling, but specifically SEO
Right, okay.
upskilling for non-SEOs. And I'm sure I see you have experience in this, and I thought, yes, you'll be awesome to speak with about this. So thank you so much for your time. As I like to do with all my guests, I like to ask them how they got into the industry in the first place. So with that said, how did you become an SEO professional?
Yeah, so I've been a digital marketer of one flavour or another for about 15 years now. And I actually started out in PPC, did a couple of years at PPC, and then went in-house somewhere, started doing a few more channels. And then after that one, I decided to go into an agency to learn SEO. And that had been, 13 years ago? So yeah, went into an agency, went to learn it, and not looked back from there. Like once I'd added SEO into the skill set, that became the one that I wanted to do, and I very much stuck with it.
What was it about SEO, or what is it about SEO that made you stick with it?
There's just so much to it, there's so much to do, and there's different ways of doing it. Like a couple of years of PPC, I just found, it was very much play by numbers, and it was very, very straightforward. It was crystal clear, black and white. But SEO, not quite as clear, and changes by client, by site, by project. And it just felt like there was a lot more challenge there.
Yeah, there's something about SEO where it really attracts a lot of people who are both analytical and creative. And I find that tends to be less creative than SEO. Don't come for me, PPC folks. It's my opinion. But yes, SEO definitely is more creative. And to me, when people try out SEO and PPC, well, the ones I've spoken with anyway, the vast majority tend to prefer SEO than PPC because there's so much to it. It's so dynamic, right?
Yeah, I think like once you've got a taste for it. So I started off like doing SEO and PPC side by side, and the longer that went on, the less I did of PPC and the more I did of SEO. At the point, no PPC, pure SEO.
Yeah.
And then I left the agency just so that I could do just SEO and nothing else. And as you say, I think a lot of it is the creative side. Obviously, same with PPC. Every project is different. I get that, but what you can do is kind of limited. It's very set. But with SEO, each time you do have to think new, think fresh. Yeah, you'll repeat some of the same stuff, but there's definitely much more of a creative side to it and a bit more uniqueness about every project.
Which do you prefer, agency side or client side?
In-house, in-house, in-house. Wild dogs could not drag me back into side. I really could not see myself doing that again. I did 7 years, and I feel like I more than served my time.
It's funny you mentioned that serving time. A lot of people, SEOs, have gone in-house. They have the same sort of sentiment. I've worked both sides, and yes, in-house by far is better than agency, in my opinion. There are some pluses to agency side, but nothing beats in-house, man. Especially when you can really sink your teeth into a brand and really take it as far as you can, which is from an SEO point of view. There's no limit to it, right? It's you can go on forever.
Yeah, absolutely. I think being agency side, the benefit that I'm sure most people would agree with is that you learn a lot, you see a lot of things, and it really, really does broaden out your knowledge base. And for me, it sets you up to go in-house, because you've seen most things by that point, and you'll know how to react to whatever comes up. But yeah, going in-house and just having one overall project, maybe some little bits around, but it's a lot less plate spinning than being in an agency.
Yeah, totally. So working in-house, at some point, and SEO realize they conclude that SEO training is essential, especially for non-SEOs. Walk me through.
Yeah.
I see in your previous role, you did, this was a big focus for you. Walk me through what led you to consider this as an essential part for internal teams.
So so my last role was a good sized e-commerce company, and 20,000 products, I would say. An SEO team of one when I started, and I realized pretty quickly, obviously I'm there crawling websites, fixing things, putting keywords in places, doing what you do. And I sat there and realized, but there's 20 people here who are uploading all of the products. And in e-commerce, your products are your content, and if they're not inputting it in a certain way and it's going on the website in a less than ideal manner, something needs to be done to sort out that process. And I realized pretty quickly that I needed to optimize people as well as websites. And I made a list like who does a thing that has an output that impacts our SEO. And it was very clear that our buying assistants and trading assistants, as we called them in that place, they were the ones taking lists of products from manufacturers and suppliers. And the mind-blowing thing for me was they'd take the list from a manufacturer and just stick it on the website in the exact manner in which they'd received it. And if you've got a category with products from 20 different brands and they're all sending you a file in different formats in the way that they like it, and you're putting it on your website in all these different ways, not only is it probably less than ideal from an SEO standpoint, it's also bad from a user-facing standpoint. You're trying to interact with all this different manner of ways of putting things out there. So, I got a list of everyone who was in one of these critical roles. I worked out a training plan, which was basic intro to SEO. What is it? Why is this guy whinging at you? Why does it matter? What's good for you if we make things better? What's good for me? How do we help each other out here? And then once we'd done an intro, started getting a bit more into the specifics. So what do we do with the product name or a web title, as we call it? How do we handle the bullet points? How can we drive things with attributes? And it was an absolute must. There's no way I could have improved organic performance at an e-commerce company without, getting a handle on the people who are putting stuff onto the websites.
See, this right here is a brilliant example of how agency is very different to in-house. Because from an agency point of view, right, you would just think of the being reactive to issues. Whereas in-house, you can see the issues way before they become issues, right? And having an SEO mindset, you naturally go to think, okay, if I can resolve this issue here, and in fact, right from here, at the very beginning, it wouldn't be an issue at all. And it will improve SEO before there is an issue to resolve. And it's funny you mentioned how the different departments took to it. In fact, how did they take to it? Were they very receptive to it?
When I first started, I reckon probably only 50% of the people that I took in, bothered, cared. But, it's always the same, isn't it? You're going to get some that are receptive, some that are a little bit on the fence, and some that just don't care. And, it was very much like that. But I was persistent and I kept going. And, once I got a couple of years in, generally everyone who I was interacting with in that role understood why I was there talking about it, understood why it mattered to them, and understood how they could actually do something about it and make things better. So, it took time, it took persistence, and thankfully, it did get better the longer I was there, evangelizing and making the case for why it mattered.
Yeah, and this is another thing I've noticed with in-house SEOs, in that they very much, in the beginning, see it, well, they experience an uphill battle. But towards the end, literally everyone is on the side of SEO, right? And one of the things I've come to realize is that I think there is a psychological aspect to it, which for me is very interesting because, SEO internally is a very new channel, right? It's not the newest channel in marketing. Social media is newer than SEO, but there is something about SEO that's very foreign to people, right? And because it's so foreign, so
Yeah.
different, they almost want to instantly push back on SEO until they get to know it a bit more. Then they are a lot more receptive to it. Do you find that this is the case with non-SEO teams?
Yeah, I think for a lot of people, it's easier just to like ignore it and pretend that it's not there, rather than try and wrap your head around it.
Yeah.
And then the best trick I worked at, thing is, you're dealing primarily with like commercial or sales teams rather than marketing teams.
Yeah.
So what I would do is just turn it into their language, and rather than talk about keywords and rankings, I'd talk about sales and revenue. Because then that's what matters to them. If I'm going to spend my time doing this, what do I get from it? If I say spend a day on this, you'll get these rankings. Like, I don't care. But if I say spend a day on that and you'll get 30% more revenue, yeah, I'm all over that. I'll do that. And that's by far the biggest or easiest way to get them around to your causes. Talking their language, talking money. And then they're like, yeah, all right, I'll do it.
Mm. And as a result from this, from non-SEOs having confidence in SEO, what do you see in their behavior, or should I say the way they treat SEO or the way they regard SEO? Are they more open to suggestions?
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, it will still come down to the individual. But like, if I again at the last role, say there was 15 people probably when I left that were doing this role, I could say 1/3 of them were like mini me's. They were like SEO, SEO, SEO. Like, we get it, we know it's not our job, but it's so important to our job, and if we thread it into all these things, then we'll do better. And the thing is, they would do my job for me. They'd be telling their team members in similar roles, no, do this, do it that way. JP says we do that. And like, brilliant. So, when it clicks, it clicks. And when they get it, and they just go. And then, yeah, still some that be like, no, I don't really want to do that. I still don't quite get why he wants me to do it. And I think you're always going to have that. Like, you can be idealistic and say, I'm going to get you all. Like, I'm going to get every single one of you fully singing from my hymn sheet. But, it's not really going to happen. But, yeah, the ones where it does click and it sits in, it's like, and you can hear them. Like, you can hear them down the office telling someone a thing you've told them, and you're like, yes. And that's, that's as good as getting any rankings for me. That's a win. That's a big. Yeah. I love I've always liked the training side of my job, whether it's training people within a search team, SEOs, what have you, or people who aren't SEOs, training them on it, getting them into it. Like, get a buzz from it. Honestly, enjoy it.
Mm. I think I know the answer to this question, but let me ask it anyway. Who were the most problematic team or department, or let me rephrase that. Who do you think is the most problematic team or department to deal with?
I'm not going to pin it on any department, just in case anyone I work with watches this. Sure. But what I will say is, I think it's hard with anyone who's not been exposed to it before. If you've never done any form of digital marketing before, like literally nothing even close to it. Like, so if you're in, like, the people who upload our product, their role, or the old place, their role was get a spreadsheet from the manufacturer. It's essentially data entry, type stuff. Get a list from a supplier, put it in your system, put it up. And then you're coming along and you're talking, well, that product name has got to be in this order. That word's got to be in it. That doesn't need to be in it. Then you got to do this. And it's like, mate, I was happily uploading my spreadsheet in 20 minutes before you came along. Now it's going to take a day. Yeah. And, that's hard because, you're asking them to do more work. It's for the better of everyone. But that's hard when someone's coming along and they're like, you know what, I'm going to make your job that little bit harder. And that does take, it does take some effort to get across like, yeah, it's more work. Yeah, it's a bit more thinking, but we're all going to win out of this. So that's hard for a lot of people, regardless of team.
Yeah. I remember I worked at a client-side brand. I worked client-side at a brand a while back, and I made a suggestion saying we should change the way we name image files, right? So essentially optimizing image files for SEO. And I got pushback from the creative department, and it was a flat out no, because it wasn't the way they did things, right? And I was very persistent, but when I realized I'm not just battling an individual, I'm battling an entire business, an entire department, and not just a department, an entire infrastructure that's already in place, right? Trying to get them to change it just for SEO, I wasn't going to win that battle at all. So I had to approach it in a different way. And I feel a lot of SEOs relates to this working in-house.
It's a little bit like Trojan horse type stuff. You've got what you need to do, but you need to get it in there some other way. And this, just like what I said with when you want someone in a commercial team to help you with your SEO, you don't talk rankings and traffic, you talk sales and revenue. And I get what it's like. I was lucky, I think, with the design team at my last place, because me and the design manager, we hit it off straight away. And to be honest, he said, like, I'm glad you've turned up, because I've been saying no to this lot for years. I'm glad you're here to back me up now. And I'm like, poor lad, I think, was a bit downtrodden. I was like, brilliant, we can get along with this. And, I'd like to think more often than not, if we're talking different digital teams, be it creative or marketing, we should, for the most part, always be in line, unless you're just doing it for the sake of it, feeling a bit precious about something. But SEO should get on with design, should get on with CRO, because we're really driving to the same ends. So, yeah, and you know what? I did the same thing. I went through the exact same thing with file names. But thankfully, they took to it quite easy. I didn't get the kickback.
That's music to my ears. People taking to SEO recommendations. There is this thinking by a lot of business leaders that if the entire business understands SEO, right, there is this concern about crediting SEO performance, right? So who is rewarded for SEO performance improving? What's your take on who gets the credit for SEO when the entire business has, let's say, an improved awareness of SEO?
Look, I want to claim all of it, but that's just not realistic. In a big company in-house, you can't succeed at SEO just on your own. Especially like when I started at Byte Direct, there was one of me. There's one person, 20,000 products. You're not going to do it on your own. Like, you have to get people on side. I had to get the product traders on side. I had to get buying assistants on side. I had to get design on side. And then once you've done that, you're all in it together, aren't you? And even buyers, getting search volume data for buyers to help improve, like when we buy a product, seasonality, what's hot, what's not, what's dead, what's coming in. And, it's a massive, massive team effort. I don't think no SEO team can stand there and say, like, they've done it all. They may have trained other people, they may have made other people aware, but like those people need to be active in it as well. So, if it's done right, it's an absolute team effort. And it has to be an absolute team effort if you're going to do the best you can.
Yeah. And I think that conversation or that battle is one worth having with business leaders and heads of departments, right? Figuring out ways of working, who gets the credit, who's rewarded for stuff. Those are excellent problems to have, right? It shows that SEO, when you're having those sort of conversations, it shows that SEO is widespread across your business. In the beginning, there is this thinking that SEO, you have someone to do SEO before a site launches or before a product is released, right? So there is this idea of putting SEO right at the end, and additionally having it siloed, which is not the way SEO should be carried out, right? But there is this
Absolutely
thinking,
mind blowing. No.
there's this thinking from business leadership that SEO needs to be carried out a certain way. Why do you think the way some business leadership, think of SEO is completely ineffective and just plainly wrong?
I think the best insight on this comes from when I was agency side. So, like, if you're putting together a quote for a website project and you've got things itemized and you've got like design, wireframing, build, and then SEO is a separate line. And more often than not, they'll go, "Oh, I don't like that. I don't like that number. We'll just take that out." And like having that ability to remove it from a project is like, what? You can't do that. But I think, given how many agencies there are in this country and how long people were probably having to go to an agency for these services before teams started getting built in-house, people have had too much opportunity to just say, no, I don't like that. And then there's also the amount of people who've been burnt by bad agencies, bad professionals. And all of that mixed together can probably lead people to some quite misguided places of, I don't trust it at all. I don't believe it because I've been burnt. Or I don't think I need it because I don't like the cost of it. And you let me take it out, so fine, it can't be that important then, can it? And then on the other side of the coin, the ones who've seen it work, they know how valuable it is. But yeah, I think, as you say, though, there's so many people that I think just still... SEO's been around for 20, 25 years now. It's not like it's a new thing, but people still don't really get it. Businesses still don't really get it. Don't understand where it fits in. Don't understand how important it is. Don't understand how, yes, it's a chunky investment, but how much do you make out the back end from investing that? Yeah, and I suppose you need to do it right and see it work to believe. And I think too many people have been burnt in different ways in SEO.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a shame, really, because at this point, I think we absolutely should be known as a core marketing channel. And in fact, more than a marketing channel, right? It's a shame that a lot of business leadership don't consider it to be as important as running the entire website, right? I mean, I sometimes akin it to, imagine your entire website is shut down for a day, right? How does that affect your business? Now, imagine SEO is shut down, right? Or better yet, have a look at your analytics. Have a look at how much SEO brings, right? Have a look at the importance of SEO as a revenue driving channel. Now, imagine that is shut down for a day, two, an entire week or two. That is the value of SEO. That's the importance of it. And again, people don't some business leadership don't think it's something that they need to pay attention to until there is an issue. And when there is an issue, SEO is to blame, right?
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, like, I think it's probably less and less so nowadays because it's just much more competitive and, Google always changing. But certainly a few years ago, people were complacent about it. I've never had to do anything to get this traffic. It's not going to go anywhere. And like imagine having that mindset and being like, yeah, I'll risk it just dropping off a cliff tomorrow because I'm not doing anything. Yeah, mind blowing. I think there probably is less of that now because there's so many people active in the game and coming at you. But definitely when I was agency side and I was having conversations with people trying to get them to take on SEO, they'd be like, no, I've never done SEO. I've got all these rankings. I've got all this. I'm like, it's not going to stick around forever if you don't do something. But yeah, a lot of people just happy and content to rest on it and risk it.
What do you think changes this mindset or perception at a business leadership level?
Well, either A, losing the traffic, because that's going to wake you up pretty quickly, isn't it? Or B, meeting the right person who can properly evangelize or get across the benefit of it and get you to understand what a good marketing or digital marketing mix would be in this day and age. Like, I would like to think that, give me any business leader, I think I can convince them that SEO is a thing that they need to be mindful of, active on, and, you know, constantly working on. But and I think that's it. I think those are the only ways. Like, you've either got to see that it's required because you've lost it, or you've got to know that it's a thing. But I guess for a lot of other people, ignorance might be bliss.
Yeah, it goes back to what we mentioned earlier, as in you can either be reactive with SEO, which some might say is the typical state of SEO, or you can be more proactive with SEO, and that is by far a lot better. Now, coming to being proactive with SEO, there is the need for training. And as you mentioned with your previous roles, you carried out this training, which helped not just the different departments, not just SEO, the entire business. From a business leadership point of view, of course, the question will come to ROI, right? What's the return on investment in SEO training? If there is an SEO person in place, right? Why is it essential that all the different departments, whether marketing or non-marketing, additionally need SEO training? How is this measured?
Well, if the SEO team in itself is targeted on making more money, like the other marketing teams are, then, you know, and it's the same for commercial teams. So I would just like work it all back. So if you we've just brought on bathroom products, we've brought on a bathroom website. You know, what's his baseline? How much are we making per category now? How much are we doing on baths? How much are we doing on toilets? Get your baseline. That's where we're at. And then, I'm going to take these people away from the desk and I'm going to train them. I'm going to keep mentoring them. But give us 3, 6, 12 months, and then let's look and see where we're at. Let's look what visibility we've got. Let's look what traffic we've got. Let's look how much money we're making. Let's look at like actual profit. Let's look at returns. And it all comes back to that talking their language. I don't think the teams care that much that you're doing SEO or you're training for SEO if they see their numbers moving. You know, as long as when they do their weekly trade meetings or their monthly reports, if they see that the numbers they care about are going the right way, you know, they're fine with it. If they didn't move, though, if you're like, you know, I'm pulling this guy for training every week and I'm sitting at his desk and I'm talking to him for half an hour here and there, but their numbers aren't going anywhere, then you've got a problem. But as long as their numbers are moving the right way, there is no problem.
Yeah, this measurement, again, is an interesting conversation to have with the different departments, because SEO is so integral to a website, a business. How do you measure the success when you have SEO training company-wide? And it's going to be an interesting area that I think a lot of SEOs, a lot of agencies will at some point start to take up. The entire industry, right, SEO industry, I would say is primarily led by agencies. The issue with SEO agencies, or agencies rather, leading the SEO industry is, one, sometimes they may not be an SEO specific industry, or should I say a specific company. That's one.
Yeah.
Two, they themselves may not know the issues that a company is facing with SEO. So they don't know the integral or the internal concerns around SEO. So, for example, products. They don't know they don't know the process for having a product up on a website. So they're not able to optimize before there is an issue. They constantly rely on there being an issue. So they're constantly being reactive to issues rather than proactive, right? So that's a big area of concern. Another issue. Sorry, go ahead. Were you going to add to that?
No, I was going to say, like, that is the biggest difference between agency and in-house. Agency, you know, you're not involved, you're not in there day to day, you don't know the teams, you don't know the processes, and you're relying on rankings and crawls and finding things and like, this is what we do.
Yeah.
But once you're in there, you know, you've got that ability to be much more proactive. And if you're going to be as effective as you want to be, you have to get into the teams. And I just touch on another thing you said as well. Like, there's definitely plenty of people out there selling and delivering SEO that are not SEO specialists. You know, it's been going on for years and years and years. Any flavor of digital agency will sell SEO if they can. You know, it's like SEO agencies selling web design, but they're not designers.
Yeah.
You know, it goes on all over the place in many ways, and you know, that's one of the things I dislike the most about the digital industry. Like, a lot of companies will sell any service just to take the money, whether they're good at it or not.
Yeah. That's, for me, my biggest issue about agencies is the more you stick within an agency, the more your role is about sales, right? Rather than marketing. And I feel being in-house as an SEO, you're an SEO who's a marketer rather than an SEO who's a salesperson, which the higher up you go within an agency, that's what you become, because that's what the business requires of you. But that's a whole nother topic for
Go ahead. SEOs turn out to be pretty decent salespeople, because if you've done an in-depth analysis and you've had a look and you understand the problems, you can talk well and you can. I know it. Yeah, I went in as an SEO and I ended up being like not a salesperson by title, but I was outstripping the salespeople, because if you can have a good conversation with someone, often you can get a deal.
Yeah. Now, if you're upskilling, if a business is upskilling non-SEOs on SEO awareness, does this mean SEOs will become, I don't want to say the R word, redundant. Does it mean they'll become less required? Should I say less required in the near future?
Yeah, nice way of getting around it. So, you know, that's the thing that I was mindful of. You know, I thought, well, if I train all of you, why would I be needed? But, you know, there still needs to be that person who's keeping up to date on SEO. You know, what things like, it's a daily thing, right? What's changed overnight? You know, is there anything new? Has anything happened? So there's always got to be someone keeping ahead of things, someone like devising an overall strategy, measuring, reacting. And maybe it's just a case that the role changes. So like 5-10 years ago, it would have been just SEOs on their own doing whatever they can. But maybe now those SEOs are doing 50% practical on-site fixing, what have you, but 50% of it becomes training. You know, maybe it's just a shift in the responsibilities of being an SEO. And for me personally, that's fine. Like, I've always liked training, and I think I definitely realized in my last job, as I've said a couple of times probably, if we're going to get the best results, you need to train other people. And if that's what your role becomes, so be it.
I am counting on this in the coming years, because I see this being a requirement that non-SEOs have and uplift their skills around SEO, and uplift to a point where they're not necessarily aiming to become SEOs, but have a certain level of awareness of SEOs, right? Because the game is all about prevention. If you can shift from reactive to proactive with your SEO, you'll be far better. And if you're a business owner and you look at the SERPs within your industry, your vertical, I can guarantee you those who are winning are more aligned with the proactive aspect of SEO. Let's take e-commerce, for example. The entire e-commerce industry, right, for years, decades now, probably, they've gone from not necessarily having a website to being convinced to having a website, to being convinced to working on their SEO. And now they're at a point where they realize SEO is integral to their business. So it's no longer a question of whether they need SEO or not. Just like it's no longer a question whether a business in 2023 and beyond needs a website. It's a resounding yes. The more a business can align with that way of thinking, the better off they'll be by far. And I see SEO training to non-SEOs being more important than SEO training to SEOs. All right. So I think in the future, in the very near future, we're going to be at a point where training is essential, is a core part of a business success.
Yeah, well, the thing is, it should be now. It absolutely should be now. If I decided to go e-commerce again, that would be the first thing I'd be looking at, because I learned from my last role that was the biggest way to shift the needle. Like, it was the most impactful thing that could possibly have been done is upskill the people who have an impact on your SEO. The people who are inputting products, essentially creating and uploading content. And, any SEO with a little bit of experience should be able to see that was the biggest opportunity on the table. And, it should be, yeah. I think I couldn't believe it then. So what, 4 years ago, I couldn't believe that 15, 20 different people were taking stuff from hundreds of manufacturers and just chucking it on the website in the manner in which they got it. Like, my mind was blown. I couldn't actually believe that was there for me. I couldn't believe I had that win. I thought that had all been taken care of, and I was like, what? No, what, you don't standardize this? You don't put keywords in the product titles? You upload them without bullet points and pictures? It's like, whoa. But yeah, I'd like to think that the businesses who really get it, if they haven't already integrated training for non-SEO team members, that they get on with it soon, because it's definitely a win.
Absolutely. From a support point of view, what should a head of SEO be seeking from business leadership in terms of supporting SEO agenda?
The main thing, the main thing I always want is just that they understand why you're there, they get what you're doing, and they give you the freedom to do it. You're there with a very specific task in mind, and the worst thing that could happen is that you're there to make a difference, to improve organic performance, but your hands are getting tied in one way or another. Like, oh no, you can't interact with that team because they do that. Well, no. If I'm going to improve SEO, I need to interact with that team. I need to train that team. So yes, the main thing I want from business leaders is no barriers. If we're here to improve SEO, let us improve SEO. And that might mean changing long-standing things the company's always done for whatever reason. Well, guess what? It's changing now because we need to do something better. And that's really the main thing. Trust, freedom, no barriers.
And what about from a business point of view? A business leadership point of view. What do you think SEO should be providing to business leadership to influence better confidence in SEO? Of course, revenue will be the obvious one, but let's say just before, take out revenue, what sort of what information or metrics or data should SEOs be providing to business leadership to garner confidence in SEO?
Yeah, so I mean, different bits of data get different people excited, don't they? Like the commercial manager at my current place, he's getting excited about keyword. He didn't know that keyword search volumes were available. He's like, what's the biggest query that contains business? And I'm like, I am not the tool, but I'll go and look for you. And it's like, so if someone's coming from a commercial bent and they're like, where is the traffic? What are people searching? That can really get their juices flowing and excite them about potential new opportunities, new traffic, new sales. Other people are a bit more vain. Other people, you might excite them by featured snippets or different SERP features, or look at how the company is being portrayed in this way, or look what we stole from those guys down the road that you don't like. And I think it's a fact of life, not just SEO, but I think if you're trying to excite people, get them encouraged or get them on side, you have to find what makes them tick. And, different people are into different things. And whereas like your CEO might just be money, money, money. Your commercial director might want traffic. find out what makes the different people on your senior leadership team or your board, whoever it is, just find out the thing that makes them tick. And it's easy enough. And then present things in their language, in the way they want to see it. And, one size never fits all, never does. There's always something a little bit different for different people. And this is the thing I picked up in the agency. Like, the company has an overall problem, but you've got different people to communicate it to. Work out how to solve the problem in each person or each team's different language. And once you've worked that out and you can work out how to, you kind of want to just, here's what I want to do. Here's why SEO is great. Here's why I'm great. No, that's not. It's just not going to wash. It needs to be, right, here's our problem. Here's how you understand it on these levels. And there we go.
Mm. Within the SEO industry, one of the things I notice is some SEOs are very much focused on trying to have a business within SEO best practices, as opposed to having SEO within a business. So it's the business over SEO. The business is more important than SEO. Do you find that some SEOs make this mistake as well?
Yeah, I think there is still definitely a bit of that. People do know SEO is important, but the businesses can often trump it. And I think it comes very prevalent when you talk about things like development queues. We know SEO is important, we have to do this, but it's like, well, why am I falling behind everyone in this development queue? If SEO is so important, why are we behind the warehouse, the design team, the sales, And I think that can show people's true commitments up quite quickly, whether they are actually fully bought in or not.
Mm. Yeah, and I think for SEOs, it does them a disservice because they focus more on the hard skills of SEO rather than the soft skills. And soft skills will be what influences you to do the things you mentioned, like speak with individuals in their language rather than trying to convince them to understand SEO. It's having that balance, isn't it? Yes, SEO training is important, but it's also important to be able to communicate to individuals appropriately, or different levels appropriately, and departments appropriately. Without that, you're not going to get very far with SEO. What do you think SEO should be doing to improve their soft skills?
I can't believe I'm recommending this, but go and work in an agency for a few years if you haven't already. I think that's definitely where I picked it up, because in any given week you're meeting half a dozen different, prospects or clients, maybe more, different problems, different industries, different budgets, and different people. And I think once you've been doing that for a little bit, you realize, well, I can't just keep saying it in my way. Except you're going with that approach all the time, it just doesn't hit. But once you work out, well, I need to turn this around. I need to reverse engineer this from what you care about, and then I'm going to present it in your language, in your way. And then that's really helped me with in-house teams, because in-house teams are not really that different to clients, right? In an agency, yes, they're different stakeholders, but to me, it's just like clients. It's just like prospects. And I treat in-house teams the way that I treat new business prospects in the agency. Same game. What makes you tick? How do I get it across in your language? But yeah, I definitely pick that up agency side.
Yeah, I think that is definitely one of the beautiful things about SEOs work in the agency side. They have to be a lot more structured and more disciplined and more aware of the different elements that affect what they produce. From their side, SEOs at agencies, what would you say they should keep in mind when they send across SEO recommendations?
Don't talk about lengths of meta descriptions or silly little things like that. I think it's easy to think that, run a quick crawl, screaming frog, put a list of things together. That'll do. That'll work. Anyone can crawl any site anytime and get a list of stuff, and once you've been in the game for a while, you realize there's things that you have to fix, that you maybe need to fix, that you don't even need to touch, and that comes with experience. I think if you're an agency, just doing a crawl and sending it across, oh, look at all these things I found. No, anyone can do that. You've got to understand their problem, and this is why I'm glad, like, when I was agency side, we never did that speculative stuff. Now, since I've been in-house, like, every other day, hey, do you want this free audit? Hey, we've done this free thing for you. Like, you don't even know what my problems are. Like, you don't even know what I want or what I need. And you're just using your time and hitting and hoping. And I hate that. Like, if you're really going to win with prospects, like, I'd get rid of the scattergun, hit and hope, sending it to people cold, because most people don't want to be contacted in that way, whether it's SEO or anything. But if you do have a genuine prospect and you want the best chance of converting them into a client, you've really got to wrap your head around what their problem is. And you need to remember, don't talk to them like an SEO, because they're not. Don't talk to them about too much technical data, rankings, whatever else that's just a bit too SEO-y. It's got to be about, well, we're going to spend X amount of time. That, in theory, is going to do this to your revenue or this to your sales, this to your leads, because that's what matters. But really, understanding the problem, show them that you've got it, show them that you care. There's a lot to be said for just, caring about someone's problem and having a good bit of passion to want to solve it in the right way.
Yeah, it's all about the business problems and solutions. And what you mentioned earlier,
Absolutely,
just a moment ago, is SEOs trying to fit a business within SEO as opposed to the other way around. It's trying to input SEO within the business. When you're doing it that way, you understand the business needs, the solutions, and what will drive business growth. Because at the end of the day, that's what SEO is about. It's not SEO for the sake of SEO.
Lastly,
yeah, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I think hopefully we very much past the times of, we'll sell somebody 10 hours of SEO and then we'll just do some things. Like, no, you can't just sell a list of hours from a sheet and do some predetermined things. It's like, this is the problem. This is where we stand right now. Let's work out a sensible investment over a period of time, which will move us from here to here and get you what you need and give us what we need.
Yeah, absolutely. For business leadership, last question around them. They also require an increased awareness of SEO, right? But they absolutely do not need, or they shouldn't need to be doing SEO themselves, right? So where do you think that balance is for business leadership in terms of upskilling them to be aware of SEO, to make better decisions, yet not providing them with so much detail where they can almost be operational with SEO?
I think I don't think that's too hard. Like, that the further someone gets up the chain, the more light information they need about anything, really. So if someone's like director or C-suite, what have you, that they just need a handful of quite light slides and be like, this is what SEO is, this is how it impacts you, this is where we're at and where we want to get to, and this is how we're going to do it. That's all you need. And as long as they know, like, right, that's what it is, we're going to go from there to there, you're going to train these people and do this work yourself, that will satisfy, the significant majority. You might get the odd person who's like, no, look, I want to know this, I want to know that, you better tell me everything. But they'll be in the minority. That'll be quite rare. The thing is, I can only speak for my last two roles being in-house just to say that, like, the management structures in both those companies have understood it. They've got it. And you've not had to go too hard on, getting it across. And I've got to say that comes from the people who've hired me both times, experienced marketers who've made the case themselves already and, got it across like, it's a thing. We need a specialist. We need them in. And generally, I think, most businesses, once you've got it across it, it sticks as long as it doesn't go bad.
As an SEO who's been in-house for a while now, can you look at a website or a brand in the SERPs and almost project what SEO is like for that brand internally?
Yeah, I mean, I don't look. I mean, I don't look at an e-commerce website the same anymore now that I've been like. Just see so many things that I never considered before. Like I never really considered, filters, filter and sort options, attribute-driven things, and product names. Product names blow my mind because they're crap in so many places. Like just really bad. And I think, and there's a bit of a curse of being an SEO, isn't it? Like you're happily shopping away, and then you're like, I'm going to crawl this website. Like, I don't need to, but no one's paying me, but I'm going to crawl it. And sometimes you just can't help yourself. But and I do think so I worked in one e-commerce company with 8 websites and 20,000 products, and I often sit and think, what about all of the others? There's hundreds, if not thousands, of e-commerce companies, and I see so many of them are atrocious. And even some of the ones that were better than us were atrocious at a lot of things. And it's like, so yeah, it's hard not to put yourself in other companies' shoes and think about their SEO and wonder what processes they do or don't have, and think, yeah, I could fix this, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, sometimes it's something I do for fun, just to browse and look at, like, not just my normal everyday browsing habit. The SEO in me kicks in at some point, right? And I can see the optimization on a site, and I can almost project what it's like internally. And I can see if a site is very dysfunctional, and I can project, okay, if this site were to go through a migration, they're going to have big issues because internally they're not very structured. They're not streamlined with their SEO at all. And you can see it on the website. An SEO for any e-commerce brands, or in fact, any brand out there listening, an SEO can see the issues internally on your site. It's very clear, very visible. So might want to consider that.
Oh yeah, it's funny when you go on like sometimes you go on a website and you're like, that has been done because the SEO has said something.
Yeah.
Like you'll see us like quite a simple homepage layout or something like, not too cluttered, not being like, the SEO has been involved in that, I can tell. Or it goes the other way and you're like, damn, you've not got an SEO, or they lost the conversation there. And it makes me chuckle, stuff like that.
Yeah. John Paul, thank you so much for your time today. Now we're just at the start of the second quarter of the year. What are you looking forward to this year?
I am looking forward to getting more months under my belt in my new role. I only started in January, so I'm 3 months in, and you know as well as I do, good SEO takes time. You've got to get your approach, start delivering it, deliver it consistently, and do it for a good amount of time before you really start seeing the big shoots. So that's what I'm looking forward to. Just more time delivering the strategy, more time with my new team, bringing them on, and ideally more money in the pot. Because that's what matters at the end of the day, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you got an awesome journey ahead if you just started in the role. Oh, you have excellent months ahead, I reckon. John Paul, thank you so much.
Fingers crossed. Like, it feels positive right now, and as I touched on before, it's a company where they get it. They get why you're there. They get what you want to do. And that's one of the best things you can ask for as an SEO, isn't it? That trust, that backing, and then on you to show and repay that. So yeah, hopefully it's going to be a cracking year.
Awesome. Where can people find you online?
I'm on LinkedIn, so you can follow me on there. But I'll be honest, I'm not really a social media guy. I don't. I'm on LinkedIn because of professionally, that's where you found me. You've kind of got to do it. It's a tick box exercise. I'm on Twitter, but I don't post anything useful. Like, if you want to follow someone for hot SEO advice, I'm not the guy. I don't really post anything too useful anywhere. But thankfully we're in an industry full of really good people, aren't we? So you're never going to go short of someone good to follow.
Well, I want to thank you so much for your time today. I know a lot of in-house SEOs tends to be less active in on social media, so it's been a pleasure speaking with you today, and I wish you all the best in the coming months.
Yeah, thanks very much for having me on. Really appreciate you giving me a little bit of time, and good luck with the pod. I hope it goes from strength to strength.
Pleasure having you on. Thanks a lot, John Paul. Have a brilliant day, and we'll catch up again another time.
Great stuff. Thank you. Catch you in a bit.
Cheers. Bye now.